Welcome back to another episode of Rules to Live By Starter Kit series. We're in Starter Kit 3 as the image portrays. Today we're going to cover the often never used rules of manhandling and BOG. Manhandling can be very key if you mispositioned your gun far away from the battle and you want to get it at least to a spot that's decent enough that you can fire at some semblance of defense. So most of those weapons are going to be the M11, M10, M12 type manhandling number guns. Guns with smaller manhandling numbers will be much more difficult to move, as you will see. Very simple chart to use, very simple modifiers to understand. Same thing goes with BOG. Sometimes you want to shove your tank into that building. Sometimes you want to blast through those woods. How do I get through there, Stu? Hell, I don't know. Let's cover the BOG rules. We'll check it out. Welcome to the emplacement and manhandling example. Take keynote of some very important concepts in this, especially the setting up of guns in scenarios. Here we have a 57mm AT gun and D6 manned by a 227 crew. Started the scenario in placed and hidden initially placed, which is hip. It would neither be in placed nor hip if it were manned by a non-crew, which includes half squads, leaders, squads, conscripts, whatever. It has to be the crew counter. Because it's an open ground, unpaved road hex, it lost hip as soon as a good order enemy unit within 16 hexes had line of sight to it. Because it's in place, it receives a +2 TEM to all attacks. Thus, any ordnance shot would be add +2 to the hit dice roll. If hit by ordnance, the original infantry fire table resulting in a KIA, the original roll, not the modified roll, the original roll eliminates the crew and gun. Or if a K eliminates the crew and malfunctions the gun. If the original IFT dice roll is not an original KIA or K, and if the hit occurs through the gun's covered arc, the crew adds +2 gun shield modifier, available to AT guns on the infantry fire table dice roll. Now, we're going to manhandle the weapon. The American player wants to move the gun, crew, and 8-1 leader to D5, so rather than fire and prep fire, he attempts to manhandle the gun in the movement phase, losing hip now if it hadn't been lost previously. If successful, this will cost 4 movement factors, which is double the normal cost. The manhandling number is a 10, as shown on the counter, the M10 number. You can actually have negative numbers on this, so be aware of that. It's not a fake dash or whatever. So the manhandling number is 10. The applicable dice roll modifiers listed on the QRDC are +1 for the terrain and +4 for the movement factor cost, and -1 for the leader for a total of +4. The American rolls a 5 or lower, which is pretty darn low. The gun, crew, and leader move to D5, expending 4 movement factors. He may try to manhandle the gun again this turn. If he rolls a 6 for a final dice roll of 10, he moves the gun and units to D5 and then stops because it equaled the manhandling number. In both cases, the American can change the gun's covered arc in whatever direction he wants. If he rolls a 7 or more, he cannot move the gun this turn nor change its covered arc. Having moved to D5, he can no longer move during this movement phase, as the wheat field in D4 has a movement factor cost of 1.5 when doubled, because of manhandling would be a factor of 3 movement factors, exceeding his allotted movement factor costs. If instead of originally moving to D5, he wanted to move to C6, that would cost 2 movement factors and incur a dice roll modifier of +2 for movement, +1 for TEM, -1 for leadership, and -2 for crossing a road hex side for a total of 0. So you could push it pretty darn quick down the road. If a squad possessed the gun instead of the crew, there would be an additional -1 dice roll modifier, because every half squad above a half squad, your first half squad, yields an additional -1. If an extra squad were participating in the manhandling, there would be an additional -2 dice roll modifier. In all cases, any attack against the manhandling stack would receive the -2 hazardous movement dice roll modifier and no gun shield dice roll modifier. In all cases, none of the manhandling units could fire in the advanced fire phase or advance in the advanced phase, as they would be essentially TI for that matter. It seems like they would be TI. Having moved, the gun is no longer in place. Any small arms, MG, or demo charge attack through its covered arc will receive the +2 dice roll modifier gun shield available to 80 guns, as will any infantry fire table dice roll after an ordnance hit through the covered arc. That does not result in original KIA or K, but it is easier to hit for your normal ordnance shots. Thanks for joining the emplacement and manhandling example. And here we have the BOG example. At the start of a movement phase, a T-34-85 enters T7 at a cost of 8 MP, half of its MP. It takes a BOG check with a +4, +1 for the ground pressure, and +3 for entry of woods at half its MP. The Russian dice rolls 9, which results in a final dice roll of 13. The T-34-85 BOGs in hex T7, stops immediately. Its movement phase is finished. And a BOG counter, the big black nasty counter, is placed on top of it. In his next movement phase, the Russian declares a BOG removal attempt. No dice roll modifier apply. But when he rolls a 5 on the colored die roll, the T-34-85 becomes mired. In his next movement phase, he tries again. This time with a +1 die roll modifier to the colored die roll due to being mired. He rolls a 3 on the colored die, which becomes a 4, unbogging the T-34, and a 6 on the white die. Multiplying the 2 die rolls together provides the MP cost to start 18 movement points more than the T-34 has. The BOG counter is removed and the tank is left in motion in T7. If the T-34-85 had rolled a 3 on the white die on the second unbogging attempt, it would only cost 9 MP to start, 3 times 3. And the tank could use its remaining 7 movement points to move. If it had used all of its MP to enter T7 to begin with, the only applicable dice roll modifier to the BOG check would have been +1 for normal ground pressure, and it would have not have bogged from rolling a 9 on its BOG check. So if you need to get fast through the woods, and if you have a low ground pressure, you might want to blow half MP. Normal or even high ground pressure, you probably want to use all your MP, but it all depends on the situation. But BOG example is just that. And remember, the mired +1 die roll modifier does not apply as a multiplier, as you use the original die roll of 3 in the example. Thanks for watching, and may your vehicles not bog.